And a very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Lord with the Friday, August 19th edition of the CBC Evening News and our top story. The lower house has approved the 2016 budget after 3 days of debate, which ended after midnight, but not before Prime Minister Frundell Stewart strongly defended the social responsibility levy announced as important for government to continue providing certain services for Barbadians.
If we want the hospital to be run properly, if we want Barbados to be clean, if we want the sanitation service authority to pick up our garbage on time, all this cannot be done in the context of an absence of revenue. Government has to have revenue at its disposal to do these things. And I'm very pleased, in fact, the Minister of Finance and I discussed this, and this is the plan, that we'll make sure that this revenue is spent for the purposes for which it is collected.
Well, Finance Minister Chris Sinclair has again asked Barbadians to be patient as government seeks to get the economy on a sustainable growth path, and this was during his budget debate wrap-up.
Like any other Minister of Finance, I do what I believe, working with my colleagues, is in the best interests of the country. And we've asked the people of Barbados to bear with us. We've asked the people of Barbados to be patient. I believe they have been generally patient. We are seeing light at the end of the tunnel. The economy is beginning to turn around, but we still have significant challenges that we have to address, and we will continue to address those as we go along. But I am not sugarcoating anything for anybody. I make them believe that I could come next week and give all these tax cuts, and I don't have to control my expenditure. I am not telling anybody that, because that would be to feed a lie to people.
Well, former Prime Minister Owen Arthur is warning that increasing taxes as outlined in this year's budget is a risky move. Mr. Arthur says the outcome could be the very opposite of what the government is trying to achieve.
The result may be that the government does not succeed at all. Because if you continue to increase taxes on the shrinking economy, you can get less and less taxes as the economy shrinks in response to the increased taxation. So that there is an inherent risk in the policy that the government is intending to pursue. And the government has to be mindful of it.
Mr. Arthur also believes government should be introducing measures encouraging Barbadians to save.
I hear the minister having a policy whereby he wants to go back and let people dip into their registered retirement savings. Well, they're only doing that because they've run out of cash. And it's sending a signal to you that everything that Lewis taught us is going topsy-turvy in this country, that the savings rates are too low, and that in order to help to protect the balance of payments, stop believing that you have to deal with it only in the form of taxes, and recognize that you can cause people to save now to build for the future as the preferred option by which to proceed.
Well, Barbados is first in the region in renewable energy, and MP for St. Michael West Central James Paul believes government funding has propelled Barbadian businesses to make a huge impact in that sector.
The government has been able to get access to funds in which really has made Barbados the #1 renewable energy country when it comes to the Caribbean, as far as I'm concerned, because nowhere else in the Caribbean can you travel. And you see the type of penetration of renewable energy generation as you will see in Barbados. And it says to us, therefore, that we have taken the lead in that particular area. But it has come in a manner, the methodology for us achieving that is based upon the fact that we have allowed all businesses in this country to be able to take advantage of the renewable energy policy as we have it stated in this country. And I think that government has to be complimented for that.
It is nothing new. This was the refrain from Attorney General Adriel Brathwaite in response to the BLP's claim that crime was continuously rising under the ruling Democratic Labour Party.
I read a green paper on crime, a green paper on government proposals for crime reduction, April 2001. You know, signed by whom? The Attorney General at the time, Warren David Simmons. A green paper on crime. And much of what I read in the paper a couple of days ago is what's in this 2001 green paper, you know. Nothing new. Nothing new. We also had the Law and Order Commission. And it started in about 2005, and I think the report was finished in 2006 or 2007. Right? All kind of meetings all across Barbados.
Well, Transport Minister Michael Lashley has commended the measures in the budget, noting that major businesses and labor stakeholders have also given it their nod of approval.
All of the stakeholders, I can mention them. The Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry said, right move. The Small Business Association said they support the policies with respect to the small business in Barbados. In fact, singing the praises of the Minister of Finance. There's two. Three, the President of the NUPW and the Barbados Workers Union, again, on the side of the Minister of Finance and his proposals.
Exactly.
And lastly, all right-thinking members of the Barbadian public.
Minister of Social Care Steve Blackett has called the opposition leader's criticism of money allocated to the island's senior athletes distasteful. Minister Blackett outlined that government was embarking on a policy of active and healthy aging.
We as a government took a decision, a cabinet decision, that we will allocate every single year some $140,000 to take our treasured senior athletes up to Utah, where they are normally the jewels of that small town of St. George every single year, where they deport and comport themselves in a remarkable way, and where they are ambassadors for this country. But that could not be singled out for some kind of appreciation and generous encomia. They could not be. They were showered with all kinds of ridiculous criticism yesterday. How the money is being wasted.
Independent Christchurch West MP Maria Agard has supported the budgetary proposals, but she's still concerned about the possible impact of the social responsibility levy.
Ma'am, I suspect that with this 2% increase in cess at the port, so to speak, that consumers will find themselves paying considerably more than a 2% increase on goods as a result. Now, I know that we do not have price control measures in Barbados. I know that. But I do believe that consumers need to be protected from opportunistic merchants who would take advantage of this opportunity to the detriment of the consumer. And I hope that the minister will keep his promise that he will regularly review the state of affairs concerning this particular imposition.
MP for St. James North, Edmund Hinkson, says the budget has reinforced in his mind that government is continuing to neglect education.
The Honorable Education Minister and his government have made a complete mess of the development of young people by their buggling of the bursaries, by their buggling of the grants, and now by their buggling of the student revolving loan fund. This is a government that has failed to give the majority of our young people a realistic belief and hope that they can now acquire the knowledge, the skills, the training which are required to assist them in realizing their full potential.
Meantime, Education Minister Ronald Jones sought to enlighten the House on just how much more money the ruling party is putting into projects like the Higher Education Awards.
In 1996, the amount of funds being expended there were $5,200,000. $5,1996, $200,000. 2003, 2004, $21,898,000. 2010, 2011, in the difficult times, $37 million that was being expended by this government. 2011, another $37 million. 2012, 2013, $35 million. In 3 years, that's over $100 and something million in these grants to individuals.
And St. Andrew MP George Payne says his constituents have been crying out for innovation from the government. He claims the proposals in the budget gave them no hope of returning to better days.
The people of St. Andrew, every year we've been hoping that the Minister of Finance would institute measures to stimulate the productive sectors so that there could be growth in the economy, so that people could come back to work, and so that St. Andrew could be like how it was prior to 2008, no unemployment, and that's a fact. St. Andrew relied heavily on work in government agencies. We don't have any hotels. We don't have any hotels. We don't have any businesses, any tremendous amount of businesses. And we don't have this lot of special, you don't remember for Christchurch, East could tell you that. We don't have this lot of pride that members would come and say, constituents would come and say, I want a job in any office.
Stay with us. We'll have more news right after the break.
Don't let your data experience slow you down. Step up to Digicel, Barbados' fastest 4G network, more than twice as fast as the slow network. Get more with Digicel. Digicel, the fastest 4G network in Barbados. Dial *153 to sign up to Digicel today.
I pledge to continue my family research. I have a keen interest in family research and genealogy. I've already done a family tree, but I believe that I should take it a step further and put it into a narrative that somebody coming behind me can read and know what happened. I also would like to do the same thing for the history of my area, Cornelltown in St. Lucie and the surrounding districts, to put some words to the story, some written words to the stories that have been going around for generations, which have been lost on some.
Make a pledge to better your health and wellness on the 50 Barbados I Pledge Facebook page.
Investigations are continuing into this island's latest murder. This after a 26-year-old man was shot and killed last night in St. James. He has been identified as Jamar Grisettes of Arch Hall in St. Thomas. The shooting took place around midnight at Hope Road, Orange Hill. Grisettes died on the scene. Members of the senior parliament are not convinced enough is being done to address the high rates of non-communicable diseases in the country. Following yet another debate, all of them agreed greater efforts are needed at both the individual and national levels. One of the members, Dr. Maurice Smith, believes NCDs can be curbed by several factors, including controlling the levels of inflammation in the body and using nutritious meals and supplements.
Supplement deficiencies in the diet. So it is not that you forsake the diet, you try as best as you can to eat a healthy diet, which will be a nutrient-dense diet. In other words, it is not the quantity of food in your plate that counts, but it is the nutrition in the food that you eat.
Well, two of the first children community ambassadors also participated in that debate. They want to see more work done in schools to promote healthy lifestyles and for persons to get more sleep.
I strongly believe that we should encourage the school and children to have a healthier lifestyle. 1. To start, I believe the schools should add more fiber to the school meal. 2. Plan a day that the children and teachers should only eat fruits and or vegetables and only drink water. 3. And last but not least, have a school garden.
Rest plays a very important role in our physical health. Rest is involved in healing and repairing of your heart and blood vessels. That is why every boy, girl, and woman and man, in my opinion, should go to bed at an appropriate time. To conclude, I believe that if parents monitor how their children are using the gadgets at night and set up an appropriate bedtime, this would assist in the children getting enough rest, and it will help to prevent NCDs.
Chief Executive Officer of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, Dr. Dexter James, believes it would be political suicide if any attempt is made to discontinue the financing of healthcare services. He says Barbadians have grown accustomed to it and believes government should look at ways to sustain the sector.
Stop dialyzing 200 patients and then save $18 million? Patients on life-saving therapies, do we stop treating them? What are those services when economists make the view about curtailing services? Yes, there could be better ways of delivering the service, undoubtedly. But the issue about discontinuance of service is a difficult one.
Dr. James says the total budget for health stands at around $733 million. He revealed that 55% comes through the Consolidation Fund and 39% from out-of-pocket expenses through private insurance. But Dr. James says the demand versus the supply of health services is extremely costly.
We have seen the collision, the virtual collision between the supply and demand forces that is driving our healthcare costs. On the supply side, new medical technologies and the need for more aggressive diagnostic and investigative tools. And on the demand side, population pathology and its changes are now driving the demand. So there's this collision now that is driving healthcare costs on both the supply side and on the demand side.
A local service club is appealing to Barbadians to pitch in to help people in need. This as the Progressive Optimist Club of Barbados tries again to help hundreds of needy people across the island through its national back-to-school uniform and supplies drive. The program is now in its third year, and President Janelle Otley says it came out of a need expressed by families which the club helps every year.
Under this program, we reached out to individuals and corporate Barbados to provide support and resources. This appeal allows us to assist families with the basic items needed to be able to send to school comfortable and healthy children who are ready to learn. Over the last 2 years, our drive has successfully provided support for over 1,200 school children and close to 500 families. The response from individuals and corporate Barbados has indeed been overwhelming.
Mrs. Otley was speaking after accepting donations from some of the program's sponsors, including Sun General Insurance and Scotiabank and First Caribbean International Banks. People who want to donate supplies can do so between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. tomorrow at the Lloyd Erskine Sanford Centre car park. Two dates, August 27th and September 3rd, have been earmarked for distribution. Well, Hallam Collins is the new owner of an iPad Mini 4, having won the first prize of the Barbados Water Authority's Customer Information System project. While updating the current customer database, the BWA has been conducting door-to-door surveys, and Mr. Collins was randomly selected from those who participated.
The improvement of the customer database records will facilitate the Water Authority to reach a position where, in time, we should be able to email the customers to highlight issues that we may be experiencing. We may be able to send their bills by email rather than through the mail, and we'll have better contact with the customers.
Mr. Collins received his prize from Dave McCartney of Coldwater International Inc. Coldwater has been selected to manage the BWA's Smart Meter Business Transformation Project.
It's only fitting for me to thank the organizers for their thoughtfulness in having this presentation and allowing me to be a part of it.
And there are 4 more iPads to be won. Well, the Black Rock Cultural Center could be restored to its former days of glory as one of the premier venues of choice for cultural events and shows. And that's the word from parish priest of the Our Lady Queen of the Universe Catholic Church, Monsignor Vincent. The center is located on the compound of the Black Rock Church.
That's my whole aim, to get this thing back up and running and to introduce other programs into the center, that it will run as a real cultural center and not just as a place that somebody hire for one function or another.
Monsignor Vincent also wants Barbados to consider hosting more open-air events. Well, 2016 signaled the 5th year of Camp Fusion, a summer arts and development initiative developed by the Pinelands Creative Workshop. The 6-week camp came to a grand finale with the I Like Myself tribute to Ricardo Lil Rick Reed. CBC's Shane Jones tells us more. And we do apologize, we don't have that story, but we will have regional stories right after the break.